Welcome to another edition of Live on Tape with Pete Tribuco on WWDB AM 860 Talk Radio, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station. I'm Pete Tribuco, and I'm so glad to be here today on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. And, of course, I've got my number one engineer, producer. He does everything. Tyler Conklin is here. Tyler, how are you today?
Wait a minute, I'm not Haley. What are you talking about, number one?
Well, I said Tyler. I said Tyler Conklin.
Well, we all know that Haley's the one that runs a show behind the scenes and everything. We know this.
I know that, but you see, we don't want her to get a big head here, so just to let her know that. So, I mean, yes, she is, but we're not going to let her know that, okay?
Okay.
Because,
We'll work with that, Pete.
Well, you know why? She's on the Philly Fanatic. She's on all these big stations that we have here at Beasley. And, you know, it's even hard to get her because she's so busy with...
She's a high-flying circus act, man. You got to work with her on this.
Well, I know that you work at the other stations, too, as well.
A few times, but, you know, WWGB is my home.
Really?
Yeah.
I got to tell you one thing. I've been here 2.5 years doing this show. Part of it's on Saturdays, the same time, same place, same everything. And I never got an actual tour of the Beasley Media Group radio station. Only this AM station, okay, 860 Talk Radio, which is a great station. But they have like 5 other stations here. MMR's here. You got XTU. You got Ben FM, MGK. And I didn't get a tour. All of a sudden, I go back there, I get the tour, right? And I'm looking at and I thought our equipment was pretty good. And I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, oh my God, this is so fantastic. But they won't let me in. You know?
I mean, for like MMR, you'd have to be, you know, doing some stuff with, you know, rock music and whatnot. But unfortunately, you only rock with, you know, musicals and whatnot.
This is true. Well, I don't rock with them, but I try. But the talk station, you know, you can get in here through I guess there's one way to get in. Basically, they buzz you in, you're good to go. But to get to the other stations, the top rock station, MGQ, MMR, and all those, you got to have a pass. And you know something? I don't have a pass. So 2 years later, I finally get back there. And I'm looking at it. It's kind of like me and like Willy Wonka in the chocolate factory when they first look in and they see all this chocolate. No, oh my goodness. What a beautiful studio. And you can get lost, too.
A world of insane imagination, right?
Yes, exactly. And you can get lost there, too. I mean, I would make one turn the wrong way, and the next thing I know, I need a pass to get back in because I just locked myself out. So...
when you're walking through these halls, you do not want to let a door close behind you because it is closed.
It's true. It is true. But I tell you, I was like amazed. I mean, I really knew that we had great studios here, you know, and we had a view usually in the studio of overlooking or looking at the skyline from Philadelphia. But I tell you, it took 2 years for this to happen. Where were you, Tyler, when I needed you?
I was on street crew. I didn't even have a pass to go through everything. I was working with, I was actually working for the first couple of years with XTU and whatnot.
The country station.
You know, working with the country music station, you know, getting all of their stuff prepped for their, you know, their live broadcasts out in like the boonies or at a liquor store, mattress openings or whatever. So that was my job for the better part of like 2 years. So I'm finally glad though that I'm behind a board taking care of things, working on my actual, you know, degree that I got from college. So that's great.
That's great. What college you go to?
I went to Rowan University, graduated this past year, 2023, May.
Oh my, I'm so depressed now. I'm just so depressed. I mean, I graduated last century. Okay. In the 80s. Okay, that's how far back I go. Hey, folks, I noticed he has the pass right there. He's got the pass. I can get into any door. All I have to do is just get over there during the break, and I can get another tour of this facility, which is
You'll
fantastic.
have to take it off my cold, dead hands, man. Cold and dead.
What was your major?
Obviously, it was radio, television, film.
Really?
With their literature and a few minors in there. So
okay. Well, mine was over at Kane University, which is right over here in Jersey. Okay, and I had English. That was my major. You believe that? English, okay.
English, and you went to radio. I mean, isn't that just the best use of an English major? You know, you speak well, so you might as well go to radio.
Well, I fell into radio. Actually, I'm a pilot. I flew with the Air Force. I did 2 books that I've got out there at this point. And on top of that, I do safety and training for the American Heart Association. So that's a lot of stuff that I do. But yeah, somewhere along the lines of the last 30 or 40 years, I've been doing just a little bit radio to keep going. But I tell you, Tyler, we got some really great guests here. Actually, two guests we have here today. Just amazing, amazing people. Now, for those of you that might remember, and this is when I first got in contact with them, in July of 2009, this foundation was on was it Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel, Real Sports Bryant Gumbel. And there was a scene there basically for a show called, actually our organization called Friends of Jacqueline. Now, Friends of Jacqueline is a great organization, and their mission is to improve the quality of life for children battling pediatric brain tumors and other childhood cancers, and to raise awareness through Adopt a Child Safe on the Sidelines and Guardian Angel programs. They do this by pairing the affiliated child with their siblings, with local high schools, college sports teams, campus clubs, and arts programs in their community. If your team or club is ready to start making a difference in a child's life, please register today. I bring that up because on Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel, they were just in their infancy at that point, but they were doing so well. And there was a story with regards to Jacqueline herself, who unfortunately had a brain tumor, that they ended up doing that for her. And it's just blossomed into this massive, incredible program that's nationwide and might even be worldwide. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the founder of Friends of Jacqueline, Dennis Murphy, and of course, Jacqueline herself. Yay! Jacqueline Murphy is here with us. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well. Thank you for having us today.
Oh, this is exciting, Pete. This is really exciting.
Not a problem. It would have been more exciting if I could get you in the studio here, but I don't think we could fit you. I don't know, Tyler, in this production studio. You know,
we might need a pass.
No, Tyler says he's not giving his pass away, so I'm going to have to get him later on when he's sleeping and I guess taping something else over here. But so anyway, to make a long story short, Friends of Jacqueline. Okay, July 2009. I will tell you, I bawled when I saw that. When Bryant did that, and I immediately called you, got in contact with you. And tried to, I raised money. I guess I did some book signings for you and stuff along those lines. But I tell you, man, you guys are incredible. So tell me the story. And I'm sure it's been many, many years since we did it here at this station. So tell the story about Friends of Jacqueline, how it got started, why it got started, and just all the information. I really want to get these listeners up to date on Friends of Jacqueline. So go ahead.
All right, Jacqueline, why don't you take it?
Okay, I'll do my version. So back in 2004, before I was diagnosed, I was a big athlete. I love sports. I was a tom girl, and I love playing soccer, but I wanted to take up lacrosse. And back in 2004, girls lacrosse was not really a thing, and now, I mean, it's blossomed now, but back then, finding girls lacrosse was really hard, but my mom signed me up for a clinic, and it was like 30 guys and like me and two other girls. And I did this clinic, and the coach saw I was taking it to the sport really well. But when I didn't come back for some time, he's like, oh no, did I do something wrong? Where's Jacqueline? So he called up my parents, and that's when my parents informed him that I was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and he was in such shock. He wanted to do something for me. So he had a contact at Northwestern University, and I had no idea. He contacted my parents and all this stuff. But a couple weeks, after he called my parents, I get this package from this team from Chicago, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. And it was a T-shirt, a ball, sweatbands, and some other little goodies, and a media guide. And the media guide, each girl took her time to write me a personal message on her page. And I read through all of them, and then I get to the back, and I saw that the schedule was on there. And I saw the season just began. And at the time, I was going through treatment. I wasn't feeling well. Unfortunately, I lost my hair. I lost 30% of my body weight. My gait dropped. I had to relearn to walk. I have a hearing loss, all that stuff. So I had really low blood counts at the time. And but I begged my dad, can we go see this team? Because they were playing on the East Coast at Johns Hopkins University, the closest school at the time.
Uh-huh.
So I begged my dad, can we go? Can we go? And he's like, I don't know. We'll see let's see how you're feeling that day. I end up feeling a little good. So he's like, okay, we can go. We go, we take the 6-hour car ride drive down. And as we're down there, I go, Dad, is there any way I can meet the team? He goes, I'll see what I can do. I fall asleep, and then I wake up and we're in this parking lot of this hotel. I'm like, Dad, this isn't the stadium. Did you get lost? Dad's infamous for getting lost. Sorry, Dad.
Throw me under the bus.
Yeah, she just did.
So I go, Dad, this is not the stadium. He goes, oh, you're going to meet the team. So I went up, I got to meet the team at their pregame dinner. I got to tell them about my journey and how I just made a Make-A-Wish, and they all introduced themselves, their name, their position, where they're from, all that. And then we started a bond, and they invited me on the bus to travel with them to the locker room. I got to see them in the locker room. And then I traveled, to the stadium with them. It was really cool. And then, because this was the weather on the Northeast. It could be warm one day and snow the next. This was in April. It was snowing. It was still snow on the ground, and they set me up in a press box so I could stay warm. So I got to see them in a press box staying warm, and long story short, they ended up kicking Johns Hopkins' butt. And at the end of the game, the announcer announced the Wildcats would like to thank their number one fan, Jacqueline Murphy, for coming out. So I said goodbye to them. We exchanged numbers when flip phones were a thing. This technology of iPhones was not a thing yet.
Sure.
So a flip phone. And we started, from there we started a relationship, a bond. And whenever I had treatment, they would text me or call me or write on this blog called Caring Bridge. This was before really Facebook and all of that too. Social media really wasn't a thing back then.
Sure.
So they would write on my Caring Bridge, or they would text me and whatnot. So whenever I go through treatment or had bad days, they would just take my mind off this. And one day I was waiting for my MRI results. I got treated at Sloan Memorial Kettering in New York City.
I'm very familiar with it. I was there too. I'm
Okay.
also a cancer survivor.
Okay, yeah. So the 9th floor is the children's floor. And it's really sad because you see all these, kids pulling their poles, their IV poles, but all the good nurses and doctors are there. So it's like, Dad likes to call it's like hell for him, right,
Uh-huh.
Dad?
Yeah, it's where heaven and hell meet, right?
Yeah, heaven help me. So one day I'm waiting for my MRI results on the 9th floor, and I'm oblivious to where I am because I'm seeing my big sisters are texting me and calling me, and this little girl sits next to me and who goes, who keeps calling and texting you? And I turn to her and I say, oh, my friends. She gets called in to see her doctor. And that's when I turn to my dad. Dad, we need to get this girl a team. And that's kind of organically how it started. So Dad, you want to take it from here?
There you go. Nice. That's kind of our chamber of horror right there, Pete. So, well, you're a part of our fraternity. What do I ask you? What kind of cancer you had?
Actually, that's a little personal, but the bottom line is I did survive from it. We have got to go to a break, but when we come back, we'll talk more about that. I am actually talking with Dennis and Jacqueline Murphy of the Friends of Jacqueline Foundation, a fantastic organization, and we'll be back right after this. Each year, 5,000 people, including children, choke to death. LifeVac can stop these senseless tragedies. It's so easy to use also. Simply place the mask over face, push, and pull. You'll never regret having a LifeVac in your home or office. Please visit lifevac.net today to protect you and your loved ones. Or you can call them at 877-LIFEVAC. That's 877-LifeVac.
We are there in your community. Small business owners, mechanics, police officers, homemakers. And we are there serving our nation in the Air Force Reserve. When medical emergencies arise, we meet the challenge. In cybersecurity, protecting and defending in cyberspace. When natural disasters happen, we are there in space. As a strong part of the nation's defense, we are there in the community, and we are there for our nation. We share a vision to make a difference, united and focused, taking pride in being there in service of our country. We are Reserve Citizen Airmen, and we are there with over 180 different jobs to serve your country. Air Force Reserve. Go to afreserve.com for more information.
And welcome back to Live on Tape with Pete Tribuco on WWDB 860 Talk Radio, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station. And we are talking with some amazing guests today. For those of you who don't remember, back in July of 2009, this group actually, this young lady and her father were on a show that you might know, Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel, and they were talking about the Friends of Jacqueline Foundation, which they had formed, and it's basically an amazing foundation. Their mission is to improve the quality of life for children battling pediatric brain tumors and other childhood cancers, and to raise awareness, through Adopt a Child Safe on the Sidelines and Guardian Angel programs. They do that by pairing the afflicted child and their siblings with local high schools, college sports teams, campus clubs, arts programs in their community. And what difference that makes. Mentally, when you have cancer, and we mentioned earlier that, yes, I did, and yes, I was on the 9th floor, the same place where you were, Jacqueline, when it happened. And I can tell you, if it wasn't for my family, if it wasn't for my friends, if it wasn't for the people I loved, giving me positive reinforcement and giving me something to look forward to, things could have been different. And what you have done with this organization is given these children and even these young adults a really good chance, because mentally they feel really good about it. They can't wait till they see the team again that's adopted them, can't wait to go to the games, and they keep that positive attitude, which is so, so important. So now I want to get to Dennis now. Dennis,
Yeah.
Now you started this whole program basically from that hospital visit over at Sloan Kettering in New York City, with regards to, okay, we got to find that young lady a team, or that child a team. How did it blossom from there? I mean, that's
a great question, because when Jacqueline said, "Hey, Dad, you got to get her a team," I'm sitting on the 9th floor that you visited there, and I always say that's where heaven and hell meet. You got the great nurses, doctors, and caregivers, but the beast is there 24/7, 365. I lived there. I'd stay there. My wife, Linda, Jacqueline's mom, she'd stay in the Ronald McDonald House. So I got a perspective that, that's life-changing. And for her to be oblivious to where she is, because she's talking to these girls in Chicago that play lacrosse, the light bulb started going brighter and brighter. And then I started looking around at, like Jacqueline was talking about, the kids walking around with chemo poles and bald heads. And I'm like, every kid needs a team. Every kid needs a team. And I didn't go to school for this. This is something you never want to do. You never want to do what we do, ever, because the mortality that's involved in this is on a level you can't even process. But the program is, when we started, we got to come up with a mission. And I didn't know anything about 501c3 nonprofits, all that kind of stuff. But I knew we had to help these kids, and every kid needed a team. So our mission is to improve the quality of life for children that are battling this pediatric brain tumors and childhood cancers. And there's a reason why it's focused on quality of life. We're focused on what can we do for these kids today, not tomorrow, a week, or 5 or 10 years from now. Research is important. We got to find the cure. But there's other organizations that do this. Friends of Jacqueline focuses on the quality of life. So we pair them up with a team, and they become a member of the team. And it's not for one game or one season. It's for as long as they're alive. You mentioned you went to Keene College. We had the football team adopted there, the women's soccer team adopted there,
okay,
and the lacrosse team adopted there. And, that most of these children's, the side effects are long lasting and devastating from radiation, from chemotherapy, the treatments that they have to go through. So a lot of these children will probably never have the opportunity to play at a Division I level, let alone go to college, but let alone be on a team. So this gives them the opportunity to be on the team, and they get to be treated normal. They go to a game or a practice, and they're not. They kind of leave their world behind, and they go into this world where they feel normal. The players treat them and talk to them like they're normal. So that's the kind of magic of the Adopt a Child program. Now we're over 1,000. We just went over our 1,000th adoption, and we actually did it with the San Francisco Giants, the baseball team out in the West Coast.
Fantastic. Any other big ones that we would know about that you, especially in the Philadelphia area? Any schools here?
Yeah. Ray Priori, he's head coach of football. Vito, little guy Vito, he's adopted by UPenn football.
Okay.
And that poor guy, they just amputated his arm. He had a sarcoma.
Okay.
That came after. So we've got Villanova, we've got St. Joe's, we've got Drexel, Penn. Who else, Jack?
Temple.
Yep. Bonnie Rosen, she's the women's lacrosse team. And if you remember the special, Pete, on HBO, Real Sports with Brian Gumbel.
Yes.
There was a little girl in there, Devin Lamb, who was adopted by Temple Women's Lacrosse. And that's how we started. We have 3 programs. That's our Guardian Angel program. So we have the Adopt a Child program, where the child that's afflicted gets adopted by the team. And I've got a real soft spot for siblings. Siblings are the most overlooked kids in the whole cancer community.
Sure.
Because there's so much time. And I'm guilty of what I call unintentional neglect. I was focused so much on Jacqueline. My other daughter, Taryn, who was 7 at the time, was passed around to neighbors while we were down at the hospital. And I couldn't even keep up with her. And she developed some of her own issues. And then we find out all these other parents that their other children, their siblings have a hard time dealing with this. So we started Safe on the Sideline for Siblings, and that's our second program. This is all organic. We get them teams as well, but for the most part, when a team adopts a child, they embrace the whole family. And then, I mentioned the mortality issue. It's the number one cause of death in kids under 18. So while we have over 1,000 children adopted all over the country in Division I, II, III, junior college, high school, we've lost 196. And to have to go to a funeral with a small coffin, that puts life in a whole nother perspective. So those are the 3 programs that we have right now. And, organically where this is going is, I'll be honest with you here. I was diagnosed with prostate about 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And I live for NED. There's no cure for prostate cancer. I'm hopefully I get good blood work, PSAs. But Jacqueline and I are in the same boat. She gets her MRIs, and all the MRI says is there's no evidence of disease. We call that NED.
That's so good.
And on my side, for prostate cancer, I get my blood work comes back, and if it's less than 0.05, then it says there's no evidence of disease. So here I'm adult. She's pediatrics. She's a woman now, a young lady, but they're hoping and praying for the same thing. So we created another program called NED and Nedvocate, and that's what you are, Pete. I've created the word Nedvocate, and Nedvocate is an inspiring person who improves the quality of life for anybody battling pediatric cancer or disease. So.
Well,
you're an advocate. You just don't know it.
Well, thanks again. I do appreciate that. Unfortunately, even my wife, we ended up at Sloan Kettering, and everything worked out pretty good so far. She's past 5 years, so that's a good deal. Unfortunately, the 2 leading killers in the United States are heart disease, and I work with the American Heart Association doing training and hospital work and doing training doctors and ER personnel and paramedics and EMTs. And the second one, unfortunately, is the big C. It's cancer. These are the 2, and I'm an advocate for both, obviously, at this point. But so it's an amazing story. And like I said, when I watched the the Bryant Gumbel Real Sports on HBO. I don't cry very often, but Jacqueline, you made me cry. My wife's like, "What the hell's going on there?" She's looking at me like I'm weird or something. And then she saw it and she started crying too. So we're so happy that it's worked out and that everything right now, I guess the prognosis, Jacqueline, right now is pretty good at this point, right? As well as for your dad.
Yes, everything's been good. Actually, come March, it'll be 20 years since I was diagnosed, and I've been cancer-free since. So
that's absolutely amazing. Me, thank God, it happened to me when I was in 1977. Okay, so far so good. You know, keep your fingers crossed and you just keep moving on and doing what you're doing. But what you've done has gone even so much further by actually doing what you're doing, and that is advocating. Your dad, Dennis, I know you don't like to hear this, but you are a hero, man. You're something else. I tell you, the things that you've done, the people that you've met, the organizations that have come on board worldwide, not just locally, but all over the country, and all the colleges and universities. I tell you one thing, I'm kind of jealous because I can imagine all the tickets you get for all these football games and basketball and lacrosse and whatever. It must be great to be able to do that. Now, Jacqueline, I know that Dennis does this a lot, but do you do a lot of presentations all over the place? Basically on behalf of the organization still?
yes, I still try to go. I don't go as much as him. He's crazy man traveling, but yeah, I do. I do travel with my dad, and I still go and do things. Yes, I do. I haven't gone to as many campuses as he has, but I have been to some amazing campuses and gone back to the same schools quite a bit. So yeah.
Really? Now, Dennis, you mentioned the ones that you lose, because it does happen. You're going to do that. But does anybody calculate how many people have actually survived like Jacqueline because of your program, because of the positive reinforcement that you give these children, and give them a reason to keep going and keep strong? Because again, that's the main thing. Are there any figures on that?
Yeah, it's amazing because the team that adopts the child, after a while, they come back and they tell us how much they're getting out of it. And, Jacqueline and I, we kind of like the blinders, we just run straight ahead. We never look behind. It's almost out of fear because of that black door behind us.
Sure.
So we just keep going forward. And while it's really sad to see that aspect of the disease, I look at the glass half full. And when you hear from the student athletes what it's done for them and how it's changed their life, it's pretty powerful. I mean, Really? It took 2 years from the girls out in Chicago telling me how much they were getting out of the program, and for as a brain tumor dad to go to a game or practice and be able to forget about the beast. That's Sure. the magic. That's the magic right there. And I says, you guys must be hitting the keg because I'm getting more out of this than you are. Yeah. And it can't be quantified. The lives that we've touched, because these student athletes go home and they tell their parents, hey, I'm a Division I ball player and I'm focused on my sport and academics, but this is something else I'm doing, mom and dad. And then they start sharing that with their neighbors and friends, and they know somebody in their community or in their family that's been battling a disease or cancer, and we start, they come out of their bedroom and pair them up as well and participate in the program. So it can't be quantified on the lives that Jacqueline's touched, but they're making progress. We're a member of. It was a privilege and an honor to be asked to the Remission Alliance is at Gainesville, the University of Florida.
Sure.
So Dr. Dwayne Mitchell, he started the Remission Alliance. It's basically a collaboration of. They're at 15 institutions right now. They're collaborating research.
Sure.
So that was something I shied away from because I was on Quality of Life, and he asked me to come over and be the pillar for the quality of life within the Remission Alliance. So I'm on the advisory council, and it's really powerful to see the strides that they're making with immunotherapy. And immunotherapy is basically teaching the good cells how to fight the bad cells. So a lot less invasive with the other chemotherapies and drugs. So there's exciting promise in the future, and I'm really excited to be part of it.
Well, that's great. That is so fantastic. For those of you just joining in, we are talking with Dennis and Jacqueline Murphy from the Friends of Jacqueline Foundation, and we'll be back with Live on Tape right after this. Each year, 5,000 people, including children, choke to death. LifeVac can stop these senseless tragedies. It's so easy to use also. Simply place the mask over face, push, and pull. You'll never regret having a LifeVac in your home or office. Please visit lifevac.net today to protect you and your loved ones. Or you can call them at 877-LIFEVAC. That's 877-LifeVac.
First Responders Children's Foundation takes care of the children and families the brave ones leave at home. Help us help them. These are the beautiful voices of police officers, firefighters, nurses, and teenagers who remind us that we can come together and create harmony and unity. BRAVE to 24365 to learn how you can help your first responder community today.
Afternoon, everyone, and this is another edition of Live on Tape with Pete Tribuco on WWDB AM 860 Talk Radio, a Philadelphia radio station, a Beasley Media Group station, and we are talking with, of course, and for those of you that have not tuned in, we have got two amazing guests today from the Friends of Jacqueline Foundation. The Friends of Jacqueline Foundation, their mission is to improve the quality of life for children battling pediatric brain tumors, other childhood cancers, and make raise awareness for Adopt a Child, Safe on the Sidelines, and the Guardian Angels program. And what they do is they pair off the afflicted child and their siblings with high school and college sports teams, campus clubs, and art programs in their community. In other words, what they do is they give their child a chance to actually be on the sidelines with all these Division I football, baseball, lacrosse, basketball, all these sports, these teams. Give them a lot of fun, and keep them positive as they're battling their cancer in order to keep that that positive stuff going. We've got, of course, Dennis Murphy, who actually started the program, and Jacqueline herself, who actually in 2000, I think you said 2004, was a victim, brain tumor, and she's still doing well. So, guys, I can't tell you enough how fantastic it is to actually, to see you guys again and talk about the program. And for those of you that that missed earlier, your story was actually told on Real Sports with Brian Gumbel in 2009, and it was a fantastic story. Now, let me ask you a question. Has Brian ever come back to you and want to maybe do a follow-up? Because I know they do follow-ups a lot. Has anybody ever contacted them, or they have contacted you about maybe doing an update? Because I'm sure a lot of people were they were like, wow, this is great. Jacqueline's doing great. But what happens now, 20 years later? So it might be something. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, the original one was in 2009, and then I believe in 2000, hold on, I have to do the math.
11?
2000, was it 4?
No, 11, I don't know, a couple years
Hold
later.
on. Was it 14? I think 14 was
2014. Okay.
I think, yeah, when I was in college. Oh gosh.
Yeah. When they did the first one, Pete, we had 150 children adopted, and they did a follow-up on our 500th adoption.
Wow.
Yeah, and now we're over 1,000.
Well, I think it's time. I'm going to go call my buddy Brian and we'll say, hey, listen, what are you doing, man? Get him back on again. It'd be a good story. Besides 2014, okay, I mean, that's 9 years ago. So let's do this again. I think we got to do this again. But
I like your thought process.
hey, listen, when you get something good, man, you keep going with it. You know, it's pretty cool. Okay, so Jacqueline, this question is for you. Now, way back when this first happened, you were actually adopted by that team. Now, when they graduate after 4 years, they're out. They're doing other things. They have their life ahead of them. Do they keep in touch with you, even though they're out of school?
Yeah, it's actually funny you say that because one of my really good buddies, over time, they met me when I was 10 years old. I met this team in 2005. And so I was with them. They come, they go, they have families, they have kids, and they met me when I was 10. So now that they're older, that original group, I don't really stay really in contact with, except for a few. But actually, one of my good buddies, her family just moved down to North Carolina, and my sister lives down in Wilmington, and her family lives in Leland, which is 20 minutes away. And I get to see her every year, every summer. She comes down to North Carolina when I'm down here, and I get to see her. So I just legit saw her this past week. We got dinner, and the next day she invited me to go golfing with her family, which not very good, but I went golfing with her family. But yeah, I do still keep in touch. And a couple years ago, I had a little scare, 6 years ago. I had a little scare, and they all have this message, this, phone line, and I got a bunch of messages, and, if I needed anything, I could reach out to them and they'd be there in a heartbeat for me.
That's great. That's great. Now, you said you were an athlete. You actually played. Do you still play? I mean, are you back to playing sports?
No, unfortunately, I can't really compete with my, one, I tried in high school, but my coach never wanted me to get hurt. So
Sure.
She put me in and then she'd take me out. But I was on the team and I was almost like a mini coach. I would warm up, the goalie. I would help out with anything, do the books and whatnot.
Gotcha.
But I did coach for 2 years at my high school, JV girls lacrosse. That was fun. But I'm an athlete at heart, and I love sports, and the college sport atmosphere is just so fun. And I love what I do and going to the campuses, any type of sport, may it be soccer, baseball, basketball. I love it all. It's so fun to watch.
That's great.
Diehard Saints fan, Pete.
Yes, I am.
Oh, a diehard Saints fan.
Junkie.
Really? How in the world? I guess you live in New York. She lives in New York, or she did. Why? And I know you're in North Carolina now, but why a Saints fan?
Long story short, I wasn't a football fan. A friend tried to get me to his fantasy league, and I got in. And then a lot of the players I chose were Saints fans, and I would just watch because all I wanted to do was beat him in his fantasy. If he got, so I'm like, I was beating him. So I'm like, I got to watch the players. And I just loved Drew Brees at the time. And I love Sean Payton, and he's not there anymore. And I'm like, but I'm hoping we have a good rebuild year with, I think Derek Carr is going to do us some good this season.
That's true. Have you been down to the Dome to see a game there?
I've been trying to get my father to get me tickets.
Thanks, Pete.
Okay, Dennis, I tell you, you're dropping the ball there, man. I've been there. I've been there. You got to go. In fact, one of the things I do when I'm not doing this, as I said, I used to fly for the Air Force, and I did a lot of radio and television for my books. And you travel all over the country for that stuff. And I've been to 22 of the 32 baseball stadiums and football stadiums. So you got to do that there, Dennis, man. If she wants to go, you got to get her there. Okay.
Well, I want to tie it in. Well, we did LSU. I got her up to LSU. That's close. That's at Baton Rouge, right
Sure,
outside.
it's right there. Yeah.
And we did the softball adoption there. And then, but they weren't playing, they weren't in season. So I'm trying to kill two birds at one stone. We'll make it happen.
Okay, well, Dennis, I'm going to keep tabs on that. Okay, Jacqueline, don't worry. I'm going to work on him, because if that's one of the things that you want to do, then you should go ahead and do it. Now, with regards to you, Dennis, I just heard from the grapevine that you actually played football over at the University of Albany. You actually have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. Tell us about that.
Those are the days. Those are long ago. I'm your age, Pete.
Yeah.
I think.
I know. Isn't it funny?
The biggest takeaway that's something to really be proud of, to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. And I was the captain, which meant a lot of the respect from the players. But the reason I'm doing what I'm doing is the biggest takeaway I had from college football was the mental toughness.
Sure.
And to deal with cancer, you have to be mentally tough. And to do what Jacqueline and I do on an every day is you got to have a mental toughness at another level to continue, because a lot of people come in and they love what we see, what we do, and they want to be part of it. But after the second, third, fourth child leave that passes, they're tapping out, and we can't quit. We can't quit. So we have to be extra tough, extra mentally tough. And that's the biggest takeaway I took from Coach Ford up at Albany. So I'm grateful for that. That's the biggest asset that I took away from the whole experience up there.
It's funny. I actually almost went to the University of Albany on a football scholarship, playing out of New York City, but I decided to go to Kane at the time. And you know why I did that? Because I would have started at Kane. I would have been sitting the bench over in Albany while you were the star. So I probably would have just been sitting there going, "Go Dennis, go get him," as opposed to actually playing on the field. And we had a really bad team. We weren't great, but we had so much fun doing that. So it was great. But no, I can see where your mental toughness comes from, your stick-to-itiveness, the fact that you've created something out of nothing is an accolade that many people would love to be able to share or do themselves, and they just can't. So, Jacqueline, now we're in 2023, okay? What are you doing now? What's going on in your life? I see that you're not with your dad anymore. So, by the way, I don't know if you have an empty house or an empty nest, Dennis. I got that. My daughter's 26 now. She's not in the house anymore. And every day I'm like, oh my goodness, I just miss it so much. So Jacqueline, what are you doing these days?
Well, I'm still doing Friends of Jacqueline, but right now my sister is pregnant with her second child. I have a little niece who's, if you can't hear, I'm sorry.
Okay.
She's downstairs screaming for me right now. So I'm helping her I'm helping my sister take care of her. I have a nephew on the way in 3 weeks. So I'm helping her, just being trying to be a great big sister and helping her out and whatnot.
So what's it feel like? Everybody wants you. It's kind of like that Carpenter song, they long to be close to you. Why do birds? So it's like everybody wants to be around you, Jacqueline. I'll tell you, man, you got all these fans all over the place. I've been on your Facebook page. Okay, so I see what's going on there. I've been on your actual Facebook page when it comes to, the Friends of Jacqueline and everything. And it's just so great that you're doing all this stuff and everything is going really well and so on. So a couple more questions. We'll go to break and then we'll finish up. But I wanted to ask Dennis, so what's on the horizon now for Friends of Jacqueline and this program? What's on the horizon? What things are going to be happening soon? I see a movie here. I really do. I don't know. Tyler, do you see a movie here? I see one. Definitely.
I mean, it's definitely possible. I mean, they've made movies out of worse things, so.
Oh, that's horrible. Worse things. Give me a break. That is a story. I'm telling you, man. By the way, Jacqueline, now we brought that up. Who would you want to play you in the movie? Okay, I know I'm going to put you on the spot there, but go ahead.
Ooh. That's a good question. I never really even thought about that. I'm just like, I don't think about wow, now you got me thinking.
Well, we're going to be going to break, and when we come back, we're going to ask that question. And also, Dennis, you're not off the hook on this one, too. Dennis, who do you think would play you in the movie, okay? Because I'm telling you, I see something here. Okay, and I know some people in the industry, so you never know. We might just get that going. Okay, well, maybe like a Netflix thing or whatever. So we are talking right now with Dennis and Jacqueline Murphy from Friends of Jacqueline Foundation, a great organization, and we'll be back with Live on Tape right after this. Each year, 5,000 people, including children, choke to death. LifeVac can stop these senseless tragedies. It's so easy to use also. Simply place the mask over face, push, and pull. You'll never regret having a LifeVac in your home or office. Please visit lifevac.net today to protect you and your loved ones. Or you can call them at 877-LIFEVAC. That's 877-LifeVac.
It's pouring rain. It's real dark outside. Your heart starts beating really, really fast. You've never done anything so hard in your life. This is boot camp. This is the real thing now. It's such extreme pain, you don't understand how you can finish. I began to feel that there was no way I was ever going to have my title, U.S. Marine. It takes special inner strength, courage, and desire to do this. I was just thinking, I'm so close. I'm so close. And when I finished, I was like, I'm done. I did it. The moment I will never forget is when this drill instructor that I admire so much comes up to me straight in front of me, put her arm on my shoulder and said, "Good morning, Marine."
PFC Summer Volkman became a Marine. Can you? Visit Marines.com or call 1-800-MARINES. The few, the proud, the Marines.
After I got out of the Marine Corps, coming back home, it was just a mental breakdown for me. I was on the verge of giving up. That chapter, that season in my life was over. Now what? Who was I? That's what I kept asking myself. The pressure to have it all together, to heal, to quiet down the monsters inside, it was too much. I lost it. I had heard about the Wounded Warrior Project. I had seen the logo and that visual of a warrior carrying another warrior. The programs that the Wounded Warrior Project offers, it's not just the veteran themselves, it's their whole family. It brings it all together. We have scars that we carry, and just because the scars are there doesn't mean that we're any less than what we were. Right now, I'm the best version that I ever have been of myself. I can embrace the brokenness.
You wouldn't go into battle alone. You don't have to fight this alone. Visit woundedwarriorproject.org/notalone.
And welcome back to Live on Tape with Pete Tribuco on WWDB AM 860, a talk radio station right here in Philadelphia. And I'm Pete Tribuco, and I'm actually talking with, you might have heard of them before, the Friends of Jacqueline Foundation, Dennis and Jacqueline Murphy, who have done many great things. They've actually paired up afflicted children with their siblings, with local high schools, colleges, sports teams, campus clubs, arts programs, and you might have seen them also on Real Sports with Brian Gumbel in 2009 and 2014, pairing them off and basically saving a lot of people. Not just the kids themselves, but the families have a place and something to do and keep positive attitude towards everything. And we got them here with us. So the last question I asked Jacqueline, you have the makings of a nice movie here, okay? I can see that done, you know? So I asked Jacqueline and I asked Dennis, who do you think would play your parts? And Jacqueline, who do you think will play the part of your dad in this movie that we're going to put together?
I said Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid. Now, mind you, Dennis Quaid was from The Rookie. He was in so many different movies out there, including, was it Inner Space was another one with Martin Short.
Day After Tomorrow.
Day
Always
After
a
Tomorrow.
good choice.
Yeah, that's a good one, yeah.
And of
Wasn't
course,
he in Parent Trap too?
absolutely.
Parent Trap. Okay, so Dennis Quaid's a pretty good one. So I tell you one thing, I don't know about you, Dennis, but that's pretty cool, you know, getting somebody like Dennis Quaid to play your part of you. Do you think he would?
Got my name. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Okay, now we also had one for Jacqueline. You know, the not the early years, but like now, you know, coming back. So who did you pick for that you thought would be great?
I don't know how do you say her first name. Mila Kunis. She's the girl that went around with Kushner, right?
Oh, that 70s show. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
And she's done
Yeah.
so many things later on, and that'd be cool. But we still got to figure out who we're going to have to play, the younger Jacqueline. So, hey, Jacqueline, maybe you should play yourself. No, you can't do that.
I'm good. I'm good.
That would be funny, trying to use a baby voice, not a baby voice, but a younger voice. And they have to, dress you up so that you were like, how old were you when this happened?
Well, it's funny because I was 9 when I was diagnosed. I'm the same height as I was when I was diagnosed because unfortunately radiation stumped my growth.
Sure.
And I have my baby face, so a little makeup, they can really make me look like I'm 9 again.
Well, there you go. Listen, you never know what Hollywood. I'm telling you, man. So who knows? Yeah, maybe you could just play yourself, and you get the residuals for that. Get all the money, for that, and go from there. So that is absolutely amazing. Other things I wanted to talk to you about, I guess, is now we got the new organization. We got all these different programs that are going on and stuff along those lines. Please, and I know we're going to do this later when I get the 2-minute warning, but I want to make sure people know where to find the Friends of Jacqueline Foundation. It's so important. So when do you think, where do you think, and how are they going to find you? Not just on social media, but whatever you got. Tell us.
Okay, so the important thing is that the website, the Friends of Jacqueline, and it's spelled JACLYN, friendsofjacqueline.org. And when they go on the website, they can click on just what you've been talking about the whole show, bringing up is there's a tab, FOJ on HBO. You just click the tab and that tells our story. We've got some really exciting stuff coming down the horizon here. And if you notice, we've been partnered up with a lot of racing teams.
Oh, yes.
I didn't know much about racing, Pete, at all, but I've learned a lot. And we paired up with Race Face Brand Development. And I call Rod Wortham. He's kind of like the minor league, the commissioner of the minor leagues. He takes these grassroots drivers and develops their brand, and he implores that upon them to have a philanthropic component, and that component is Friends of Jacqueline, as these young drivers are going through the ranks and making their way up. And we've had Anthony Alfredo go all the way up and race in NASCAR, and they're racing at the Xfinity level. Yesterday, we had 5 drivers up at the Poconos Raceway for the Xfinity races and the truck races that are all part of Friends of Jacqueline through the race-based brand development. So that's exciting stuff. And I love your idea of a potential movie, and we may see something like that down the road.
Listen, if you can't do it, man, I know some people, I know some directors. I don't know if you know this, but I've actually acted in a few bad movies, okay? So, I mean, I can get those directors because but seriously, I think it would be a great idea for you to take that route. I can definitely see that happening. Okay, so let's get into one. First of all, do you have any questions at all?
I mean,
no,
not
Pete,
particularly.
This is unbelievable because there's listeners out there right now that are hearing this, and they may be coming at the tail end. But if one listener knows of a sick child in their family or their community, and they share Friends of Jacqueline with them, you've changed lives. So to me, this isn't a podcast or an interview here. This is a platform that you've given us to give the opportunity to change some more children's lives. So thank you from the bottom of our heart.
Well, we do appreciate it. Now, you've met a lot of celebrities too along the way. I know you guys because they go to your events and everything like that. Does any of them stand out to you? Any of the celebrities that you've met regarding this program? I know Brian Gumbel would be on that list, obviously, but who else would be there?
Like Kelly Ripa, Jack?
Yeah,
Kelly Ripa?
Cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Tom Izzo is a really great guy. I mean, we have some phenomenal. This journey's been, Pete. The journey is. Look, we've met people like you, and don't underestimate yourself either, because the doors you've opened up for Friends of Jacqueline, you changed so many lives along our journey. You've been on. Think about how many years has it been since we met?
Probably 2009 when you first did the I mean,
Yeah.
I when I saw that on Real Sports, basically I had to meet you guys, and I had to see whatever I can do, and I have not done enough, obviously. But
Oh, come on.
But the
You've
bottom
done-
line is what you have done, and let me just explain this to you. All the people, not just the children, but the families. You know, I believe in a ripple effect. And anything you do in life, whatever you do, not just affects that one person, but it affects everyone else in a rippling fashion that goes out in all directions. And what you have done, Jacqueline, and what you have done, Dennis, and your family, and all the people that have supported you, family-wise, what you have done is you created a ripple effect that can never be calculated. I mean, there are literally millions of people that have been affected by the work that you have done. So I just want to make sure I get that out to you and know that, you're not done yet. I mean, you still got plenty of time. So thank you so much for being with us. We do appreciate it. And you guys, man, have a great day, and we'll talk to you again.
Thanks, Pete.
Not a problem.
Give the family a hug.
I will do. I'll give him an extra hug after that. And thank you again for being with us on Live on Tape with Pete Trabucco. And we'll be back again next week.
Love you, Jack. Take care.